All right, everyone, what I want to do in this video is kind of walk through the multimedia project assignment. So if you haven't already, maybe take a glance at the video and the rubric for the paper topic portfolio, just so that you kind of have an idea of what's going on at the end of our summer session. Just the same with this, that's also due at the end of the summer session. So posted in D2L will be the guidelines, so if you want to pull those up, or I'm going to walk through them briefly, but they are there when you need to take a little bit more time with them. So if you take a look at the guidelines for the multimedia project, please remember that it is 150 points, so that's a pretty hefty grade throughout the summer session, but it is built on a couple of different assignments that add up to that, right? So for this project, which should be really fun and creative, at least that's my hope, what you want to do is take an idea or something that we've learned about this semester, so a text, an author, an idea or theme that crosses several different texts or authors, and you want to develop that into something that is creative, right? So in the past, students have done videos, short films, sculpture, drawing, PowerPoint. The sky is really the limit. I've listed some things here, but I don't want you to feel as though you need to choose one of them, because every semester somebody does something a little new and different. So don't feel compelled to just stay within these options, right? What I want you to consider is the time that each of these might take. So if you're dabbling in something new and you don't consider yourself an artist, but you want to create a sculpture, just know that it'll probably take about twice as long as you think it will. In the past, I've had students who really wanted to create videos, but they just didn't realize how much time and effort that would take. But a lot of students have done it because they just really want to explore that kind of genre. So just something to keep in mind, especially because at the end of our summer session, things can get a little hectic, especially if you're taking other classes or have a lot of other responsibilities. So things to consider. Okay, so what I've done here is also posted some links and information. So if you click on this first link, it's a YouTube video that one of my previous British literature students posted. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of that so you can get a little taste and see this as an example.
So I'm walking down the street like I always do. Then I see this girl looking oh so cute. I'm like, but I don't know what to say. So I pass her up every day. Like maybe she'll notice and say hello. I don't know, but I'ma try my best. Oh no, oh yo yes. She might say what's up, blah blah.
Okay. So that's a previous student of mine named Anthony, and so he considered himself an artist, a vocal artist. So he wanted to write the lyrics to a song and then perform that song, but also have the visual of this short story. So it's based on the short story Araby by James Joyce. And so what happens in the video is a reflection of what happens in the actual short story. But I wanted to show you this example, not only because Anthony gave me permission to share it, but also because it's not perfect, right? There's nothing, that says that this assignment needs to be, you need to be a full-on video editor and sound editor. It's just a great way to be creative and explore some ideas from either a text that we read, an author, or something across different texts and authors. So that's an example, but I also wanted to show you some others from different classes. So I have my blog link posted here that has some different options. So the first I'm going to pull up is Jocelyn. She was a former British literature student, but she was also an artist. And so she took this opportunity to create a piece of artwork that reflected what she envisioned as Grendel, the monster Grendel, in the epic Beowulf. So this is what she thought, this character might look like. So she took the time to create this piece of art, and then she took a picture of it, right? Because we need to be able to post this and upload it to D2L. And so a JPEG is an easy way to do a project like this. She also offered some insight about how long it took her, the materials that she used, right? So things to consider. I'm going to go back to the blog and click on Veronica's option. She was really into origami, and this was one that was really good to see step by step, because sometimes people will see a finished product and have no understanding about how long or the effort it takes to create something. And so from the same story, Beowulf, she wanted to give us an example of the dragon using origami. So she just showed step by step and then here's the finished product, right? And so what she did was she posted this in a PowerPoint, and then posted that PowerPoint so people could just kind of see the progression. And then I took the images from PowerPoint and posted them here. So it's easiest to use PowerPoint so people can see instead of clicking on links to different JPEGs and, oh, which one comes first. So PowerPoint can be really useful that way. But this took days and days of her work and effort to create this, right? And so I wanted to make sure people understood just how long this took. Okay, and if we go back to the link, we have an example of a PowerPoint, and then there's Anthony's video that we just watched a bit of. So some different examples that might give you ideas, but don't feel like you have to, again, fall in line. In the past, people have created board games or created Instagram accounts for characters and put a lot of time and effort into making sure that what they posted in that account was really reflective of the story we read or the time period. I've had students who were really into fashion, and so they created different outfits that were reflective of the time period from some of the different stories that we read or authors. And then I had students who, and this is a big phenomenon, I had some students who were really into makeup and makeup artistry, and so they created videos pretty much kind of making over their own faces to reflect character. So there was one student who did her makeup to be the Green Knight from Sir Gawain and the Green Knight in British literature. And so, I mean, you have to make those connections. And so she in her short essay made it clear what she was doing and the different techniques and products she was using. So it wasn't just a beauty video, had beauty elements, but it was still very much connected to the text that she wanted to kind of dig into and explore in particular character. But again, so many different options. So don't feel like you have to choose something right now. But right now is the time to just, as you're reading through the stories and the text, think about what you might want to do if you were to do a creative project associated with that author, text, etc. Okay, so if we go back to the assignment guidelines, the project does need to be focused on a particular issue or text, right? So if you want to look at the way that gender is represented across the different texts that we've read, then that is one theme, right, or one area that you can examine. Or you can choose something very specific. You can focus on an author, you can focus on a character, anything you want to. It just needs to be, a project that you create for this class, not something that you're reusing from a previous class, but something you can also post to D2L. So I especially want to note that if you want to create a video, which I definitely welcome people to get creative in that way, just note that you don't want to upload a video file. D2L, it's very problematic with the program, and so what you want to do is what I do for these. I create the video and post it to YouTube, and then just post the link in D2L. With different kinds of movie files, it can just be really hard for other people to open and see your video, so YouTube is just the easiest way to go. Okay, so the project does need to be creative for this, for this class, and it somehow needs to be uploaded to D2L. So whether it is an attachment, if you want to create a line of poems in relation to a particular character, maybe create that in a Word document or PowerPoint and upload that as a file attachment. Or for the video, you can just copy and paste the link right in the text box of the discussion post. So some things to think about. So in addition to the creative part, you do need to write 3 in-depth paragraphs, right? So yeah, we got to do some writing. It's the unfortunate part of English-based classes. And so after revising and editing your paragraphs, you're going to copy and paste those into the discussion area, like you've been doing for the discussion posts, okay? So describe your project in detail. This is the first paragraph. What it means and why you chose to go with whatever medium your project's in. For example, if you're choosing to write something like a collection of poetry, why poetry? What was it? Were you doing something new? You've never done poetry before? Or is it something that you just really enjoy? You consider yourself a bit of a poet? Give us a little bit of context so we're not just seeing something on a screen without understanding what it is we're seeing or the work that you put into it. Okay. Paragraph 2, y'all, I have to emphasize this. This is where most students lose points because this is a paragraph that requires that you go back to the course text, right, and pull out information to connect to your project. So if you create a piece of artwork based on Edgar Allan Poe, go back to Poe and to Poe's story and bring in quotes to support your ideas and to support the analysis that you're essentially doing in a creative format. Okay, I say that this is where most people lose the points is because they're not pulling in quotes, or they're not properly citing quotes, or it's just not clear. The quotes that have been chosen and the ideas that you're connecting in paragraph 2, you aren't making the connection between what you've created and the ideas from across different texts or that particular text. We need to make sure that that's a clear connection. And finally, in the last paragraph, this is where you're just kind of going to explain the overall relevance of your project. So what have you learned through this process about yourself as an artist, but what have you learned about the text, right, or the author and the time period? And how does it overall connect to your understanding of the course and that particular piece or the author, or if you're looking at something like gender or racial identity across different texts, what has developed from this project? Okay. The grade distribution is at the bottom, and so 125 points will be that actual project and the short essay. I want to emphasize that when I grade the project, I'm not looking for perfection. So if you want to explore something new, if you're not an artist but you really want to try, I'm not looking for you to be an exceptional artist. I'm not judging based on the finished product in terms of its perfection. I'm looking at it to see that you put time and effort into it, that it's not something you threw together at the last minute and wanted to get full credit for, because that's just not usually how it happens. And then there's 25 points for the discussion participation. So you will post in the last week, you will post on that Monday, that's the due date, by 11:59 p.m. And then by Tuesday, the very next day, you'll need to have responded to at least 5 people. Okay, engaging with their ideas, congratulating them on the accomplishment of creating something so wonderful, right? Asking questions if you want. So know that that's a short time frame, but it is the last week, and this is in lieu of writing a huge research essay or taking an exam, right? So we're breaking those kinds of requirements apart into the paper topic portfolio and then this assignment. Okay, so just keep in mind, additionally on that last day of class on Tuesday, the 7th of July, you also have a course reflection that's due. So just keep those due dates and times in mind, because that last week can come pretty quickly. All right, so that is our multimedia project. So take a little bit of time when you're able to kind of go through this more methodically than what I've done here, and let me know if you have any questions. If you do, please feel free to post in the Q&A discussion area, or you can always send me an email. Chances are before the due date, I'll reach out and ask you maybe to do a writing journal based on what you plan to do, or I'll ask something so that it doesn't get down to the time for you to submit and then you find out, oh, this may not meet the requirements. We want to have a discussion before then, but you can always email me as well. All right, y'all, we're still in the first week, but we're moving quickly, and I hope that this kind of helps you get excited and looking forward to the rest of the summer session. Hang in there.